Hello everyone, welcome again to another episode of STEM with Satheesh. This time we move to Australia. We have a special guest, Professor Jagadish Chennupathi, a distinguished professor from Australian National University and also president of Australian Academy of Sciences. It's really a pleasure to have you in my program, Professor Jagadish.
Thank you very much for having me, Satheesh.
Professor Jagadish is originated from India, and he has a fantastic inspirational story to tell us. So I would appreciate if you could introduce yourself with your amazing traveling from different parts of the world to how you landed up in Australia with your passion towards science. Please.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so I started my life in a very small village in India, in southern part of India. And I studied in front of a kerosene lamp till I finished my year 7. There was no high school in my village. And I has gone and then lived with my maths teacher in a neighboring village, which is about 3 miles from my village. And there I lived with him for 3 years in order to be able to finish my high school, my year 8, 9, and 10. So without the help of two of my high school teachers, today probably I will be plowing the fields in India. I'm so grateful to two of my teachers. The key message is that the teachers really inspire us, and then teachers play an important role in the society, and wherever we are, whatever we choose to be, and one or the other teacher might have inspired us in our lives. And I'm very fortunate that two of my teachers really made a huge difference in my life. Afterwards, I started living on my own for year 11 and year 12. And then afterwards, I finished my bachelor's degree in physics. And then I'd gone off and then did my MSc Tech Applied Physics Electronics in Andhra University. Then moved to Delhi University, and where I have done my MPhil and PhD. So once I finished my PhD and I was looking for postdoctoral fellowships, meanwhile, there was a lecturership was advertised for in electronics. So in Sri Venkateswara College of Delhi University, I taught there for about 3 years. In those days, there was no internet, there were no computers. We used to get magazines like Physics Today and IEEE Spectrum by C-mail 6 months late. I used to ask for everything which has been advertised in the back of those magazines. I used to get rejection letters left, right, center. And then I used to tell people, joke about it, that name a university, I got a rejection letter.
So can you explain how many rejections you have got so far?
So I had more than 300 rejection letters before I got my first postdoc. Every time
I will stop you here for a minute because this is getting very interesting. So in those days, probably we are talking about 80s or 90s?
I was talking about 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
So those days the email is very, very at the infant stage, or we don't even have access to the email.
We didn't have computers. There was no email, and there was no internet.
So you physically apply and wait for a month to get the rejection letter.
And we used to send a letter with my CV. It used to cost a lot of money. And then while I was a lecturer, except for paying for my rent and then my food and my bus pass, remaining money used to go for mailing my CVs to various universities. And so that's how I was hoping and praying that I will get one day a postdoctoral fellowship. And but that was life. That's how it is. The key point is, it doesn't matter how many rejection letters we have got. How do we make use of that one offer letter to prove ourselves and prove to the people those who have really given trust in us? And that's what makes the difference in life. I was very fortunate. One of my friends who had been to Queen's University in Canada, he returned back to Delhi.
One second, I want to pick you up.
Yeah, sure.
This is a very interesting story which I would like to get into the audience mind. It's like these days, the children or even the graduate students or even the postdocs or PhD, they get disappointed quite often. The resilience they build is very difficult for them because that is the art of man making. I presume that the rejections made you much stronger and stronger to go into the system and win it. Right? Yeah. So how do you compare with that generation? I shouldn't say that generation.
Yeah.
The generations, how you see the generation evolves compared to now what we can, and what what advice or suggestions you give for that type of activity?
Sure. So basically, I mean, if I would have given up and saying that, oh, I got 300 rejection letters, I'm never going to get any more postdoctoral fellowship anywhere, I would have probably be still working as a lecturer in India. But then I have not given up. Giving up should not be an option in life. And I always tell young people, please remove give up is from your dictionary. Always think positive and then look for opportunities and then of course target your applications based on your skills and what you can bring to the other people as well. And so I was very fortunate that I have in fact applied to a professor, David Atherton, and so he's at Queen's University. In fact, he was a professor in magnetics.
Mhm.
And I'm a semiconductor person. I was working during my PhD on semiconductor and thin films, and he is developing magnetic techniques for detection of corrosion in oil and gas
Wow,
pipelines.
it's completely different.
Completely different. But I
Yeah.
said, look, nobody's giving me a postdoctoral fellowship. I might as well write to this professor and then see what's going to happen.
I just stop here as well because
Yeah,
this is
sure.
very interesting. See, if you see the thing, the storyboard, how it is, the opportunities are very rare that time, and as we speak, it has now gone into the stage. The opportunities are getting rare here as well. So the personality we build from resilience to how we transfer our skills, the basics is like your fundamentals needs to be really strong. If the fundamental is really strong, the transformation is getting much more easier because we can adapt. As you will know more about his journey, I can even take a one whole video of the life journey of Professor Chennupati. But the journey is like he started with semiconductors, then he moved now with oil and water separation. So please continue. This is a transformation of the skills that is more important.
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
Satheesh, and what you say is absolutely right. So then, after 6 months, I got an offer letter from Professor David Atherton saying that we just got funding. He offered me a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship with a possibility of extension for 1 more year. So I arrived in April 1988 with a 2-year contract, knowing nothing about magnetism except my bachelor's degree course on electricity magnetism. That's the only thing which I have done. But the key message is it doesn't matter what you have done in your PhD, on what topic you worked on. You learn about identifying the knowledge gaps through literature survey. You know what's analytical thinking and the analytical skills and problem solving skills and ability to work with other people and persistence and perseverance, and then also that be able to really the you know look at in a broader perspective, and those skills can be applied to anything in life. So when my students finish off their PhD, I tell them, don't worry about what you have done during your PhD, whether you worked on a nano solar cell or a nano laser or a nano sensor or nano
Synthesis,
neuroelectrodes or one thing
yeah.
or the other. The key thing is that
The
you have to
skills
be
you learn.
open-minded, and during your PhD, the skills you learn about your ability to solve problems
Mhm.
and ability to really we work with other people and persevere and persistence for 3 years or so,
Mhm.
and ability to write well, ability to communicate well, can be used, applied to anything which you choose to be.
So let's continue your journey now. So you have how many students you graduated so far? The PhD students.
So I've graduated about 70 PhD students,
Mhm.
and I've mentored about 50 plus postdoctoral fellowship in my research group during the
Mhm.
last 34 years or so while I'm being at the Australian National University in Canberra.
Yeah. So um, your journey is itself is a bigger journey from, say, for example, from nowhere to president of Australian Academy of Sciences, and now you are getting a degree, honorary degree from University of Surrey as well. So in this journey, there's lots and lots of like failures and successes and failures and successes, and the same goes with the students as well.
Sure.
No two students like Pauli's exclusive principle applies. No students, two students are similar. So how you keep, so for us, I'm a physicist and you are like you, I think, presume you are a physicist as
Yeah.
well. The energy is very important here. So how you motivate the students? What is the key things, key skills as a supervisor one should have to transfer that knowledge to the students?
So the key key thing is that the you need to understand each student and their strengths and weaknesses. So every student is different, and then you need to understand what motivates them,
Mm-hmm.
what excites them,
Mm-hmm.
and what is their passion. You choose a research project which matches with their interest first. And I also tell my students that, and everything is going well, you don't need me. But when things are falling apart, knock on my door is always open. So by having that open door policy helps them to knock on your door and then be able to cry on your shoulder, or otherwise express their frustrations of one thing is not working or the other. I tell them that it doesn't matter, it's a personal problem or a professional problem, feel free to knock on my door and I'm always there to help and support you. So having that rapport really helps for them to be able to come to you. And then that really helps for me to be able to really identify what are the challenges they are facing and be able to steer them in the right direction.
Excellent, excellent. Right. Let's go to the heart of this program.
Yeah.
So here we are talking more about, as the entire world is facing a severe crisis, I would say, on STEM subjects because of lack of graduates coming through it. It is going in a different direction. It needs a lot of um, talents to come and retain in STEM subjects. So we are here, we will discuss about what are the challenges, opportunities and how. So in your opinion, from Australian perspective, how key is STEM to the entire population and what are all the challenges they need?
So the STEM is very important for the future of each nation, and including Australia and also of the world as well. So the problems being faced by the planet and the humanity are so complex. We need to have a STEM literate population. Every person doesn't have to be a STEM expert, but then the scientific understanding is an important one. Scientific literacy is an important one because when we are dealing with complex matters like climate change, pandemics, water security, and then food security and various things, and national security, and AI, quantum, and a range of things, they should be able to identify when there's, particularly during the time when there's a mis and disinformation is circulated in the social media, identify does it make any sense or not. Will I be able to go and then identify the source of that information, and then can I believe that information or not?
So that's a very big challenge even for scientists like us, like trusting what is there in the media and making enough due diligence to make sure that we can at least filter and absorb those. That's for that we need to have patience and also have a right source which we can trust to absorb this. That changes the whole dynamics itself.
Yes.
So if you are talking about the STEM again, like I see that the STEM has to be grown from the school level itself and promoting at the various tier rather than at the university level.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
how this is being done in Australia? Is there anything they did differently?
Basically, of course, absolutely. We need to really start from the primary school and then the high school and the universities, the full pipeline. We need to really make sure that the STEM skills are maintained. And also children, we get inspired by the teachers in the schools. And that means that's why in the primary school, if you do not have a science qualified teacher, it becomes very challenging for them to inspire them. By the time they come to the high school, the hormones are playing and the teenage things and reveling and all those things come into picture. It becomes much more difficult for us to inspire them. So in Australia, at the Australian Academy of Science, we created a few programs. One is called Primary Connections. We prepare the material which is needed for the STEM teachers, those who do not have STEM qualifications, for example, and then we train these teachers. So these teachers go and train other teachers. So that means they don't have to go and spend a lot of time on figuring out what is the right kind of curriculum. And then curriculum is available and been screened by some of our leading experts. And the people, those who have trained them, so that they can develop the self-confidence, they can be able to go and inspire kids.
Excellent. So we are talking here about teaching the teachers for their skills development.
Indeed.
So it's both soft skills and hard skills.
Absolutely.
Very excellent. So we also, is it the web information is also part of the training, like which web information we need to rely on, because social media plays a huge role here.
So in fact, we've recently relaunched our Primary Connections program, and also there is Resolve, and essentially mathematics program as well.
Mhm.
So to be able to really bring the digital aspects of it into the system,
Mhm.
so that people are really much more comfortable, and also particularly young people, if you do not have the digital interaction,
Uh-huh.
and then they may not be excited about doing any of these things these days. So that's why the digital component is an important one. And again, artificial intelligence, AI, can have an important role to play in the future if we get things right,
Yeah.
in terms of being able to individuals be able to reach out, be able to learn on their own based on some of the most of the the information which is reliable information.
Yeah.
That is where the Royal Society of London or Australian Academy of Science, other national academies have an important role to play in terms of being able to create that information which is reliable, and then it's been verified by the leading experts. Those are fellows of various academies.
Absolutely. So I will come back to the AI. Let's swing again another very important topic, which I often feel that it is uh, it is it is not catalyzing well, in the sense that women in STEM we are coming to. So women plays to me is very important role in the social dynamics, because if you educate a woman, the entire community is educated, because everybody gets inspired from the woman. So, and retaining women in STEM is critical. I have seen that many people, many women who goes into do engineering and science and technology, but ended up doing finance and other things. So, how crucial role women in STEM playing in our whole nucleus, and how do we preserve the ecosystem?
So that is where, of course, absolutely, women have a very important role to play in the STEM sector, and we need to train them and really again make sure that they don't drop out after
Retention.
finishing their PhD or a postdoc, and that's where we need to have the systems in place so that they get supported. At a time, it's a sort of they need to take care of some of the family matters. So that's why we need to make sure that we systems in place so that they're not disadvantaged, and then the funding mechanisms and employment mechanisms take into consideration of the need for them to take some break and be able to have children, for example, if they choose to be. And that's very important from that point of view. And then again, we need to really, we created at the Australian Academy of Science STEM women database.
Oh wow!
Lots of women tell us that, well, I don't know who are the other women, those are working in my field, how they go and find them. But having this STEM women database, initially we started for Australia, we expanded that one to Asia Pacific, now we expanded to the entire world.
Wow!
So you can, any women scientist can go and then create their own profile, and then go and then see by keyword searching, be able to really look at those other women, those who are really working in their fields, and be able to develop collaborations and cooperation,
help the networking,
and also sharing their experiences, how to got around the challenges which they faced.
This is a very key things which I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Because it also helps to build the confidence among each other, and good positive networking and the positive vibes among them as well. So this is a key information that's probably others has to carry on this in a much bigger way, in a social conference way. And
So I also want to point out, Satheesh, that men have got an important role to play. So women dropping out from the STEM is not a women's problem, it's a men's problem as well, and the society's problem as well. So champions of change, also in Australia we got champions of change program, and where some of the leading men academics are also making sure that they become champions for women in STEM as well. So that really helps, because it's a societal problem. And that's why as an entire community and society we need to work together to make sure that women are first and foremost excited about STEM, and then the right kind of opportunities are provided to them, and then also they're able to stay in the system. So we call it as leaky pipeline, and the leaks in the pipeline need to be closed. So that they continue their careers in STEM.
A bit of engineering has to happen within ourselves to arrest the leaks. And it starts from people like us passing a really strong message that we support women in STEM.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that has to be a very strong message. We need to, either when we take the PhD students or even appoint lecturers, etc., have to have a right balance.
So again, in Australia, what we have done is that we have been really advertising some positions, women-only positions first. If we cannot find anybody, then you're going to open general advertisements. So in the process, that also helps. Sometimes women are more inspired and excited by the fact that the women-only positions are there, and some women don't like that one. Some women like to do this one. It doesn't matter what. The key thing is that provide opportunities for them, And so
Absolutely.
again, we're also asking when you're really shortlisting candidates, try to shortlist who are the top men and top women. So
Mhm.
thereby the committee has an opportunity to really think much more broadly, so
Mhm.
that they don't really only look at only one aspect
An
of it.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And switching back to another topic of, um, as we say that the students is very important for they are the next generation leaders, current generation leaders and the next generation leaders. I would say students means I am also a student.
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
I'm still learning from my students and
Yeah.
everybody. But students, I'm talking about the young generation students, and they are more attracted towards making quick money, not realizing that going away from STEM. So, how, as a teacher, we also need to adapt to see the curriculum, even in UK and also in other parts of the world. The curriculum is not going in pace. But how do we break this barrier within our system itself before pointing the fingers that the students is not doing? So, what are all the barriers you think? How we can arrest these barriers?
So again, the curriculum need to be really aligned to current examples when students can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, we've used nanotechnology to be able to teach both physics and chemistry fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Because, say, for example, if you take a nanoparticle, its color is changing as a function of the diameter of the nanoparticle, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can really study about the quantum physics and plasmonics, and because
Correct.
it's a
Yeah.
metal nanoparticle. So then something which we need to do, which students can relate to, rather than
Correct.
too much of an abstract way
Abstract.
of teaching physics or chemistry or biology. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think people get more excited about it, and the real world examples. But again, nowadays digital world, you can be able to really create interactive sessions as well, and
Correct.
which can also help and inspire them as well.
Yeah. So another aspect which I would like to touch about students' inspiration and how they transfer is like um, real-time examples or industry-oriented problems, because we now have a carbon neutral CO2 and talking about global heat issues, water issues, how engineering and science can address the global issues using the fundamental science. The fundamentals, how the fundamentals are important to talk about bigger picture. I think if we can get that and also bring in industry into the curriculum, probably we may be able to address few percentage of the dropouts. Do you have any comments on those as well?
So let me quote. I think maybe at least the message which it was like to be conveyed.
Mm-hmm.
Former president of the Royal Society, George Porter, who
Uh-huh.
also won the Nobel Prize for chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
he said there are only two types of science:
Mm-hmm.
applied science, not yet applied science. So the so-called fundamental science or basic science are not yet applied science.
Yeah,
So that's where I think we need to make people to be aware of.
aware of. Yeah.
Understanding fundamentals is important because of the fact that you only focus on applied aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, the technology might have completely changed. If you
Correct.
don't have the basics and the fundamentals strong, then you may not be able to adapt yourself to those
Exactly.
new developments. So that's why you need to have the strong fundamental, the foundations or the
Mm-hmm.
basic science foundations,
Mm-hmm.
and then also have the take it to the next level of applications.
Mm-hmm.
That means it allows you to be able to adapt
Adopt.
to new emerging technologies, because whatever we studied, things are changing so quickly. You cannot really
Absolutely.
rely on that one ability
Yeah.
to learn. And we're all students of life, because we're all lifelong learning is an important aspect of life, and that's the only way we can stay relevant in this technologically changing world. And then also having those fundamentals allows you to be able to do that.
Yeah. So you see that you are a semiconductor person. So the mobile is a semiconductor technology. So from the brick to now, brick means I'm talking about the Motorola's and
Yep.
the old phones where we were using. Now we are talking about touch phones and maybe the watches, and sometimes even a paper phone will come in few years time. So the technology is evolving very fast, whereas the other side, the technological skill is going down. The people who produce this, that's why we are dependent on one or two countries to make it. So how to create, now there's an imbalance is there. How to unlock this imbalance? What are all the key parameters one should focus?
So generally, I tell people first and foremost, don't focus on money, which you asked me earlier the question.
Yeah.
Focus on what you're passionate about. If you choose something you're passionate about, having fun, great things happen, and then the success follows you, and you will also make a decent amount of money as well. So that's why at the end of the day, you can make lots of money. If you're miserable going to work, why bother? So that's why you need to have fun in whatever you choose to be. If you're not having fun, whatever you're doing, I tell people to get out of it. You need to enjoy what you're doing. You don't want to look back after 40 years and say that I wish I would have done something different.
Yep.
Money is useful, but at the same time, money is not everything in life.
I think coming back to your story, I think it's similar to, I can relate to me as well. So we started with physics, then moved to chemistry and moved to making things. So if I'm right, we had the passion towards science, so we don't like anything. Unlike we don't say that I don't like this to do. So the liking has to be done inborn. What is given to you, we can make it as a better thing. So if we develop that attitude, probably we would be able to make world such a very better place to live in.
Absolutely. Of course, science is becoming very multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
The problems which you're talking about, climate change or zero carbon technologies or energy transition and pandemics and all these things, so multidisciplinary science need to really work together.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to identify people, those who got complementary expertise to yourself, so that we can all work together to be able to solve the problems. And I always tell people, collaboration and cooperation is more important than competition and conflict.
Absolutely.
And I think if you want to solve societal problems, we need to work together. Having said that, it's also important for STEM and HAS need to work together, humanities and social sciences. Reason being that we may develop a lot of technologies. If the public doesn't accept that one, the technology may not see the light of the day.
Correct.
So that's why social scientists have the capacity to be able to engage with public, and that's where we need to work together to be able to really translate whatever the exciting technologies we're developing. They can also be beneficial to the community. Community understands and accepts it.
We touched upon AI because AI is a tool that gives more information, and ChatGPT is now there, and people can relay more information and also write glossy articles, etc. That will help to develop their skills. What do you think the threats of the AI? Because AI is good on one aspect, it also has its own threats, particularly the threats for the younger community. This program I wanted to tailor to the society where I can't reach normally. So we have to reach the unreachable. Okay. So for them, what do you say the threats of the AI for younger generation?
So there are two aspects of AI, Satheesh, and one thing is development of the AI itself, and again what mechanisms you are using, and then what input you are providing to the AI systems has an important role to play in terms of outcomes which you can get. As you say that the garbage in, garbage out, and also sometimes corporates can potentially use that one for their advantage, and then nations may use that one for their advantage, and then really send the propaganda which suits them rather than really based on what the facts are. So that is why people need to critically look at this one. That's why you need to have the right kind of ethics and then governance processes for AI, so that we are controlling AI. AI is not controlling us. So that's something which, that's where the ethics and then morals and also the government guidelines.
So you mean to say that the government, it has to come from both combination of bottom up and top to bottom.
Absolutely.
That is bottom up. I'm talking about the children. They have to realize, and also top to bottom is the government and also the society has to come to make sure that the future of the children is tight.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think nowadays for children, while you're studying their basic science, they need to also have this digital literacy. And so that's where the AI, and then also using how to use effectively data, and then how to get useful information out of that data and all these things.
So I think a very valid point. Probably the digital literacy has to be embedded.
Absolutely.
Has to be embedded in the curriculum right from the school all the way up.
Absolutely.
That is where I think the policy has to come in.
Yeah, sure.
So if you're talking about science, technology, engineering, mathematics, along with the policy aspects to put into the system, then probably the digital literacy along with policy can also be slowly coming into the system.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we are coming closer to the end of the program. We discussed quite a lot of things. What is the one clear message you wanted to give it to the current generation of the students, and also to the parents who really aspiring their students to do well, their children to do well?
Okay, sure. First and foremost, maybe let me start with parents. Encourage your children to choose something which they are passionate about, and then really provide and support them and then mentor them and steer them in the right direction. And as I said earlier that, if they're having fun, they will be successful irrespective of what they choose to be. In terms of young people, the most important thing is self-belief. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe you. So once if you believe in yourself, and then again you choose something you're passionate about, you put the hard work needed, and then also set the goals for yourself, everything is possible in life. When a village boy from India who studied in front of a kerosene lamp and then lived with his maths teacher in order to be able to finish his high school, can become the president of the Australian Academy of Science, can get honorary doctorates from a great university like University of Surrey. For young people, sky is the limit, and they can do anything in life if they believe in themselves, they put the effort they needed.
Absolutely. This whole program is believe in yourself and make things happen. We make things happen. Engineers and scientists make things happen, not relying on the technology to do the job for us. So have a faith, believe, and become what you wanted. And it's always a pleasure to meet you, Professor
Thank you,
Jagadish.
Satish. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time and
Thank you.
your busy schedule.
No, thank you
Much
very much. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
See you viewers in another episode of STEM with Satheesh. I will take you a new journey to some other country. Until then, see you.